I'm a bit sad because I was hoping to find that big pride of lions that Rolf was sitting with this morning. Oi, what were you? Oh, it was a bird of sorts that just ran out of the long grass in the middle and then hopped off the side of the road. So we're trying to find them. I think with the unpleasant wind that we've had around, we know what normally happens with animals, they keep out of it. I think that they've gone for a snooze in the forest. And I've been bobbing and weaving along these roads and getting as close to the forest as I can, and we haven't seen anything just yet, but we're still looking, but there's nothing here. Other than us finding those lions, if we're lucky, a leopard. I doubt the leopard though, or the black rhino is another option of something that we could potentially see around here. There's no animals, there's no zebra, there's no wildebeest. I haven't even seen a buffalo around here, or a giraffe, or anything. It's very miserable in this section. It's amazing how you can just drive and there's nothing, and then you come around the corner. The one thing we have found though is we found the worst words in the Mara Triangle today, which was quite cool. Very thrilled about driving all of those. But anyways, right, we're going to carry on bumbling on the world's bumpiest roads. I'm going to send you across to Scott, who's down in the Sabi sand, and I know that he'll be searching for any one of the big cats.
Welcome back, everybody. We are still trying to work out where Shadow, in all likelihood the female leopard who we are tracking, has gone. I've just done a big kind of loop around in the general direction she was moving in. That's not to say after she had a drink, which I'm sure she did once she got to the waterhole, she could have kind of, while we taking you guys on safari, it's difficult for us to actively track properly because it just means leaving the vehicle for extended periods of time. So we do a kind of combination of tracking and then guessing and driving roads where we hope that we'll bump into the animal, but of course they could be in the blocks between the roads, and that would require us to follow the tracks on foot, which would be very boring for you because you would be left behind. Not unless we're on a bushwalk, of course, but at the moment we are focusing on sticking to the vehicles while we are a little bit short-staffed, but we will be doing some more bushwalks. What's going on here? Org, are you wondering if Shadow and Tandi's cubs both have the same father? Yes, in all likelihood. Oh yeah, these are friendly warthogs, which is uncommon. This mother's very relaxed and absolutely awesome. Usually the mothers run off. Yeah, the piglets come running back. Widen up their sens and maybe stay on the piglets, all spreading out a bit. And I've noticed this mother a couple of times, and I'm not sure why. She is probably the most relaxed mother warthog I've seen in all my life, and that means, in theory, we get lots of good visuals. It's the youngsters that are quite nervous, but as long as mom remains relaxed, that means we're going to get some great sightings. So let me move forward a little bit. Now, let me just finish off my last question. I don't think I did, chatting about Shadow and Tandi's cubs. We assume that, yes, they were both born to the same father, a dominant male called Tingana, but there's no guarantees that that is the case. It's just assumed that Tingana is definitely the father of Tandi's current cub, and also that he is the father of Shadow's cub. But often female leopards will move off and sneak off with other men. But because Shadow and Tandi fall right in the heart of Tingana's territory, I'm guessing he is in fact the father, or at least he thinks he is, that's for certain. Wonderful views, but also in raising them, she probably only gave birth to 4. That's usually the kind of maximum that they'll give birth to. And the fact that she's still got all of them telltale characteristics, And it's awesome when the mother usually does run off and lead the way. She puts her tail up and then all of the piglets follow in suit, and off they go, following one another's little antennas through the long grass. Oh, wonderful. Jenny, you wondering if these warthogs would be this relaxed if there was a leopard around? If they didn't know it was here, then yes, they would. And you must have just joined the safari, Jenny. I was chatting earlier about it being foolish to assume that there are no predators around simply because you can relaxed until the lion or leopard pounces. So if there's a leopard 20 meters away now, they're going to have no idea, neither are we, and it also means that the leopard is still going to have to get a lot closer before it launches its attack. It usually has to be around 5 meters away, so anything further than that, because I'm getting quite attached to these little piglets, and I prefer her to catch something else. Having said that though, I would be happy to see Shadow wherever she poked her head out. Very good. Well, we're going to move on and wish these piggies a wonderful evening, predator free, and while we do that, we're going to send you to Ralph, who I believe is not.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. We do still have these lions, and looking at that, that's the mouth of the hippo. So she's been feeding on the head, and you can see the eye sockets, and obviously it would be lovely, rich food to get into the brain and the eyeballs. And I know it's ghastly to talk about it, but it is a reality that, you know, lions, they'll very often eat the brains and the eyes, probably quite tasty as well. You can see she's trying to get in there below the jaw, trying to get in between the skin and the bone. There's the eye socket now, and there you can see the teeth. Lots of skin there, but not too much meat around. A little bit, and you can often see them licking it as well. They're very tough, rough tongues that can also help to get some of the meat off. That's why you'll very often see them licking. And when you have kills like caracal, smaller predators, even sometimes leopard, especially when they're a bit younger, they will very often disembowel their prey immediately, because then they go for the richer parts like the kidney and the liver, so that if they are chased off or something realizes that they're there, they've already taken off the best parts. And once they then feed on that, then they might move on to the rump, and then if they've got time or they haven't been chased off, then they'll start to feed on the rest. But they always get into those rich parts first. But now with a group of lions like this, they can pretty much eat at leisure. Now, Mr. Q-Tip, you're wondering if this was a baby hippo. It wasn't a baby, but it definitely was a sub-adult. It wasn't a fully grown adult, so it met a very unlucky fate. And there you can see how content the lions are, rolling on their back, lying down, and they've got fat bellies. There's lots of panting going on, so lots of digesting needing to be done, and there's still some feeding going on as well. So a very good prize that they have now got themselves, and Christmas dinner is served. And sorry that it's quite dark there. We are looking straight into the sun, but it's pretty much the best angle that we have here for us to see in through the trees. So we're just trying to get the best of it, but as you know, it's not always the best to be looking straight into the sun. It'll probably be better here tomorrow morning when we've got the sun coming from the other side. Now, Eugen, you're wondering why they don't get sick, or do they get sick from the rotting meat? well, it's not quite rotten or rot. It's obviously started rotting, but it's not quite rotten yet. It's in a nice spot in the shade, and you know, carnivores, they've got very strong acid in their stomach. So even when they do eat something that is quite well, it's humming and then it's almost floating in the air, it smells so bad, and the meat is rotten, it doesn't actually affect them that badly because of their very strong acidic stomachs. So it gets rid of it all the same. And they are able to eat rotten and rotting flesh quite easily. So it's not a problem, but I do think that they do appreciate the fresher taste. But if they're really hungry, as with even humans, I know I will eat a lot of things that I wouldn't normally, depending on how hungry I am. And it does taste better the hungrier you are, isn't it? Right, so you can see how that one female's panting away and how she's got swollen mammary glands, which is lovely to see that she's fed and she's feeding the youngsters. But from one predator to another, and both on kills, let's head all the way down south to South Africa with Noel, who's also got a kitty cat on a kill.
Mantuan Mala. We found you guys in Ingwe. Oh, sorry, I mean a leopard. Sorry, I was busy speaking on the radio, and so I was speaking in a little bit of a Shangaan. So we have found the lovely little Tandi, and she has a lovely little morsel for you, a baby impala. Super excited right now. She's letting us sit nice and close, and she's very relaxed. Now, I was kind of hoping and crossing fingers and holding thumbs that her little one might be out, because I haven't seen it yet, but I will take her beautiful face chowing down on this impala any day. Hope you all are as excited as I am. Now, I'm going to try and stay a little bit quiet and see if we can hear her eating. We might be able to, so let's just hold on and see. No, I think it's a little bit too soft. When she's using her carnassial shears, the sort of side of her molars, and she's getting the meat off, you can hear this crunching sound. But it's interesting because there's lots of bird noise and cicada noise and things around us as well, and also a little bit of wind, so it doesn't necessarily pick up. Oh, everyone, I'm glad you're as excited as I am. Now, guys, sorry, I didn't give the best update, so if you'll just excuse me, I'm just going to chat on the radio just very quickly, just so that the other guys know, because we've got the guests from Djuma who are also looking. Rexon or Aubrey for Noella? I've got Tandi, Mafazi, Ingwe, Busy and Kuja, this Mapinpan, Mala, on Mvubu, northeastern side, where you faga that shlashla, that gory shlashla, just Famba in on the Nkonzo, and visuals 5-5 for 1 MOVA, 3 out of 5 for second MOVA. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I could just hear them chattering a little bit, and I don't want to keep this all to ourselves. We must share with everybody else. Yay, first day back leopard. Thank goodness. Okay, now this looks relatively fresh to me. Ferg, what do you think? I'm thinking, so basically what happened is earlier, Scott was saying he'd heard that she was around, and then Rexon and Aubrey came into the area and they found bits and bobs of what was left. And then when we came back just to have another look, we found her, and she's now with this baby impala. So I think that she might have been around, and then this is a more fresh kill. But I want to look at the impala a little bit more. And yes, I'm so sorry. I did hear that there was a comment that came through. I didn't hear who it was from, maybe from Renata, but it does seem as if her appetite has increased because of the cub, and that's definitely because she's not just feeding herself, she's also feeding the little one. She has to be able to produce quite a lot of milk to be able to to keep that little one going. And it was Renee Costa. So sorry about that. So Renee Costa, yes, you're correct. Her appetite's definitely increased. I know a lot of my friends that have had children, especially when they're nursing, also their appetites tend to increase a little bit. And for obviously specific things when we're humans, because our diet is a little bit more varied. And then for Tandi, what she's really going to be loving right now is things like baby impala, baby wildebeest, baby warthogs, nice and juicy, easier to catch, and really high of nutrients. And she can also get it down quite quickly. And then her milk's going to be nice and nutritious for her little one. Now, as I'm chatting with you all and we're watching this beautiful sight, I'm just keeping my eyes open. But from what Rexon and Aubrey saw earlier with the fact that there was just a little bit of meat left, I have a feeling that maybe she finished off the other kill that we were having a look for and then took her cub back to the den and then has possibly come back. That's one thought that I have. The other thought is that she stashed it somewhere around here and then had this opportunity and then is just eating. Maybe we'll see it later. I'm not quite sure, because the minute that we saw her, Ferg put her on camera and then you all were with me. So we're going to investigate. We're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. John, super interesting question. You're wondering, when will Tandi's little cub start eating meat? So, John, if the cub was here, the cub would also be eating a little bit of meat with her, but it's still going to nurse. So that cub is now about 3 months, right around in 3 months, if I'm remembering correct, or just under 3 months. It's about two months and a bit. Sorry, I'm trying to do math, and you all know how rubbish I am at math. And so it will eat a little bit, but it will mostly nurse. And then as it starts progressing on an age from here, it'll start swapping out more meat for less milk until it's about 6 months. The longest I've ever seen a leopard nurse a young one was 7 months, but it's usually around 6 months. They stop nursing and then it's full meat. But everybody's different. I have girlfriends that nurse their babies until 8 months, and I have girlfriends that nurse their babies until 3 years. So again, it's up to the individual. But also with something like this leopard, she doesn't want to nurse for too long, not longer than about 7-8 months, because she needs to be able to start moving farther afield away from her core territory for better hunting. Now, Tandi's done something really interesting where her birth has has overlapped with the birthing of a lot of small prey species, so it assists her and helps her out quite a lot. Monique, you're commenting that Tandi's looking a lot better from her shadow fight. I actually haven't seen any of that footage. I completely shut off during leave, but I am going to have to go back and have a look. I'm glad to hear that she's looking a lot better. Ladies will fight, especially when you have such overlapping territories here. It's interesting in the sands because our population densities are so high with leopard. The boundaries are not as defined as you'll find in a lot of other areas. So you do get these funny little overlaps. And it's interesting because what I've noticed in the short time that I've been here is that part of Tandi's core territory and part of Shadow's core territory do have a bit of overlap. So obviously you're getting scenarios like what you saw the other day. So now you're going to start hearing another vehicle from behind me, and that's one of the Djuma vehicles coming in to come have a look at Tandi, so don't worry about that. And again, we're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. We're going to enjoy as much of this as possible. This is everyone's early holiday gift, and whatever holiday you all celebrate out there, we'll just count this as one of your prezzies. And Tandi fight over Tingana or over territory? That's a really interesting question. So now, I wasn't here, but from what I know with past experiences with female leopards is they're fighting over their territory areas and utilization and food resources. So as far as I understand with this particular fight, it had to do with a kill that happened within either one of the other's territory or along a boundary, one of the two, depending on how you look at it. Female leopards only want male leopards around when they're ready to mate. Other than that, they don't really want them around in general, especially when there's a little cub around. Because if Tingana, for some reason, decides that he doesn't think he's the dad of that cub, or even if he does And Shadow's not going to necessarily know that the Tandi's cub is Tingana's and be like, hey, that's my man, I want his babies. It doesn't really work like that. But that being said, we don't know as much about leopards as we should know because they're so elusive. So again, a lot of the information I'm giving you is my own personal experience mixed in with doing some leopard research and of course doing quite a bit of reading. So everything I say, you must take with a slight grain of salt because we might find out something in 2 years or 10 years or 20 years that might contradict it. Alright, well now while I am busy watching Madame Thandi finish off her little impala kill, we are going to head back up to the Masai Mara so you can watch one of Africa's other large cats eating an even larger meal with Ralph, and we'll keep an eye on her and we'll see you all shortly.
Yes, thanks Noel, and we've had a couple of the males just get up and go over to the kill, and that big one there, he's actually the one, it seems like the Chitwa males, but he's the one with that pom-pom-less end tip to his tail. So I've seen him again now, and he's obviously decided that it's time to have another snack. So he's just chased that female off, but she was very quick to get out the way because I think she probably knows what's coming if she doesn't. And he's now just thinking about having a little bit more to eat. He also marked right next to that hippo, so he sprayed in the tree, and obviously just marking the spot, in other words saying, I'm in charge here. It's incredible the size difference between the male and females, and just that sheer raw muscle on the males, it's incredible. And the little cub watching from behind there, hey? Watching in Dad's footsteps. I wonder if it is his dad. Probably, with the tolerance levels being at such. So I would assume that these three males have fathered, one of them have fathered these cubs. Lovely spot this now. These lions are going to just stay here and keep feeding at leisure. There's the other male, and he's one of the ones, the one with the lighter coloured mane. So there's two with very dark manes, and then this one is quite a bit lighter. So quite easy to identify them now. I've got them nailed. The two darker manes, and then one of them without that pom-pom on the end of his tail. So that's the Quechua boys. Much nicer light now that the sun has gone behind the clouds. It was straight in our faces, and so it wasn't giving us the best colours, but now we can see nicely there into the forest. Mr. Q-Tip, you're wondering what's happened to the end of that lion's tail. Well, it's quite a mystery for us, really. We're wondering if it's not similar to what's happened to the elephant's tails. And the only thing that I can see as an average here is the Mara River with those massive crocodiles. That's my first thought, and unless somebody pushes me in another direction, that's the answer that I'm sticking with for now. So I think that this lion has also potentially tried to cross the river, and maybe his tail has touched the water near to a croc and it's been snapped up, and obviously the crocodile would have grabbed on and the lion would have pulled in the other direction, and maybe he's pulled it off. And probably similar with the elephants as well. I've seen a lot of adult elephants with half tails, and then quite a few youngsters with little to no tail. I'm wondering if those little ones are the ones that are getting bitten as they're walking, you know, and their tail would be close to the water. And maybe then the adults that I'm seeing with half tails were bitten as babies, and now it's grown that little bit of extra at the end. So very exciting, very nice to sit and watch lions on a kill, especially when they continue feeding and getting involved. I'm sure sooner or later the vultures and scavengers are going to have their go. But we're going to stay here with this lion pride and the hippo, but let's send you on down south to Noel with the leopard, and I believe still with that kill.
Got a really interesting scenario just here. We had our other vehicle come in, and Tandi's decided that she's going to start moving away. It has nothing to do with us. It's just her, what she's feeling like. Now, I don't want to follow directly from behind her. You try not to follow from behind a leopard as much as possible. You try and follow from the side. So Ferg has to do some really interesting camera work at the moment. So I'm trying to drive as slowly as possible so we can keep her in focus as much as possible. But here's going to be the money shot, I hope, unless she moves. So let's just stop here, and you all can have a really nice look at her carrying this baby impala. How beautiful is that? So that shot just before, that was your screenshot for the day, everybody. So now notice I've parked at a little bit of an angle so that she's choosing where she's going to move along the game path. I'm going to let her come directly in front of us and then move on a little bit more, and then I'm going to back up and again come around from the side, because I want her to do what she normally would do, which is exactly what she's doing now, without feeling like she needs to be doing anything different. And a lot of that has to do with her ability to see us. So now she's got that impala in her mouth, so her vision is going straight forward. So she's going to be wanting us to be where she can just see us at the peripheries, and that will make her comfortable. We also need to leapfrog with the other game viewer that is here so that everybody gets a chance to see what we are doing. Now, I've already slipped and fallen on the road today, and I saw that Tristan had a little issue the other day, and we all know about Taylor's mud incident. So I'm not going to be looking too much into camera at the moment. I don't want to hit a stump and either hurt Wendy or fall out of the vehicle. So if you all would just excuse my back of my head as we meander along. Now she's heading into a thicker area, and remember what we were talking about possibly her cub being here. Again, she's killed it, she's eaten a little bit, she's put a little bit of sustenance into her body, so it's possible that she's going to where her little one is. It's also entirely possible that she is going to a place where she can tree it to then either go nurse the cub or to go and fetch it. It's entirely possible. Faith, James Richard, hello and Merry Christmas tomorrow. James, I'm not picking up your full question. It has something to do, I think, with her meal. I'm so sorry, my comms are a little bit scratchy. I don't know if we want to try and send it through. James Richard, you're saying you're so happy that it's your favorite leopard on screen now and that she's got a meal. I agree. Now, I have ended up in a little scenario. Tight, and everyone else, I just need you to just deal with whatever's going to happen now. Hold on at home, Ferg says. All right, let's try this. Let's see if Wendy's up for the challenge. No, it's too deep. It's way too deep, unfortunately. All right, everybody, I'm going to have to get us out of this little scenario, but I think maybe we can try one last shot with her. I just can't get over this little steep bank. It's just a little bit too deep where I am. She's going off there. So the other vehicle that's with me most likely has gone around, and then we're just going to try and do that. So I think we'll just let her go out the screen there, and then we'll pick her up again. You can see she's moving at a pace, but it's not a crazy pace. She's just determined in her movements. Let me see what I can do here. Now, it's interesting. Wendy's all of our vehicles that we use are very short-bodied Land Rovers, so they can go in a lot of places that the longer bodies that we all drove with guests cannot really go. And so there's places like just now where if it hadn't been just that little bit deep, we would have gone up the other side, no problem. Now I'm also trying not to hit Ferg off the back here with a branch. I think we're going to try through this way, which looks just a titch better. So So again, everybody, hold on. We call this boondu bashing, but it's very term that came out of Australia, and we use it. Hold on. And there we are. We're up and over. Okay, let's go find Madam Thandi. There's a little impala that's just here that's looking around like, I'm so glad that's not me. Oh, sorry, it's a Steenbok. Sorry, thanks, Berg. You see, I've been on leave way too long. There's a little Steenbok that's saying, I'm so glad it's not me. So while I'm busy trying to find Tandi again, I believe Ralph is still busy with our hungry lions. And you know, lions are one of my ultimate favorites, but I have to say I wouldn't give up this Tandi sighting for anything. So let's head all the way back up to the Mara, to Ralph, and then we'll see you all again shortly. There she is.
Yes, folks, and there's been quite a little bit of action here next to this carcass. The male's come in, he's had a little bit of a feed, and then the youngsters all wanted to play with him, and now he's started marking. So it's all happening. The little youngsters are really intrigued by what he's doing there, even though he's marking his territory. They're almost like they just want to play. Really cute. Almost like he doesn't have time for it, but they're like, oh, come on, Dad. Let us play. Looks like he's got a bit of a limp, actually. I wonder if he got that from fighting over this food or in bringing it down. But I wouldn't worry too much. That won't hold him back that much at all. Right, folks, so that's probably the last from us up here in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and I would like to wish you, from myself and Archie and everybody up here in the Masai Mara, a very happy Christmas. We will be seeing you again in the morning, so we'll wish you once again tomorrow on Christmas Day. But everybody have a lovely Christmas, and we're going to send you on south to Noel with Tandi.
She came through our little spot. She's found a nice marula tree, and she's hoisted her kill up. We didn't see it. We got here just after she got up. It took us a little while. I swear she does those things on purpose. Makes us work for our sightings. Now, she's got a bit of a fat belly, and I think that fat belly has to do with the other kill that she had, as well as the kill that she's eating now. And she's just busy grooming herself. She's put her kill into a space that only another leopard can get to. A lion could technically climb up there, but there's not really any lion activity in the area at the moment. So she's feeling nice and safe, and leopards are also extremely fastidious. So they like to be clean. Even when they're killing something, like guinea fowl, they pluck all the feathers off before they start eating it, and then especially with larger impala, they'll take all the fur off the before they start eating there. So if you were to ever find a carcass that hadn't been eaten but had hair plucked off of it like that, it's most likely going to be from a leopard. There's a little starling that's taking offense to the tree that Tandi has chosen. I'm assuming that there's probably a starling's nest somewhere around in here. It's not hopping sort of at her, but it is going from branch to branch. We'll keep an eye on it and see if we can show you in protest of this leopard that's climbed up. Now, we've talked about, there we go, there they are. We've talked about it before, where birds make alarm calls as leopards move through, and that has a lot to do with the fact that leopards will eat baby impala, they'll eat adult impala, they'll eat warthog. We even had that amazing sighting with Jamie several weeks ago with the male leopard and that big giraffe. But then they'll also eat things like baby mice, and they'll eat birds, and they have a very varied diet, scorpions even. So unlike a lion, who's most likely not going to eat a bird, the birds are fully aware that these leopards are capable of catching them. Now, she's not going to be able to jump through these trees and climb through these trees and catch these starlings, but they will chase squirrels around trees, and they will also do things like chase monkeys through trees. There's a very famous documentary called Eye of the Leopard by the Joe Bears. It's one of my favorite documentaries about Djuma, and there's a really amazing couple of sequences where she's chasing squirrels and monkeys through the trees, her and her mum as well, and catching them. And now Tandi is tired. Look at that. It's a lot of effort. Even, I mean, that's a small impala, but walking, she walked about 500 meters, so about 5 American soccer ball field lengths, and then climbed up the tree, and she's been eating. She's super full. So now she's going to pant to help process that. Start eating. So now, because of where she's moved and how she's moved, I don't think the cub is super close, because she would have started calling for it by now and or gone to fetch it. The cub's a little bit too small to move far distances when she does call, so I have a feeling that she's going to eat a bit more and then either go back to wherever she stashed it, possibly the den, possibly somewhere else, and then nurse from there. So I don't think we're going to see the little cub tonight, but I do think we will possibly be able to see that little one in the morning. It's going to be fantastic. You can hear the woodland kingfisher in the background. So now this is my first real chance of getting to see Thandi stationary, and she is a gorgeous, gorgeous cat. Her eye color is absolutely fantastic, and she's giving me a nice glance now. Sort of lightish blue, almost green. Absolutely stunning. And she, to me, looks a little bit bigger than Shadow, or maybe not bigger, but a little bit thinner. Shadow, to me, is a stockier female leopard. And by stocky, I don't mean fat. I mean just a sort of, almost like Mvula is a stocky male leopard with those short little legs. Shadow's got that feeling for me, whereas Thandi's a little bit more elegant and streamlined. Coke Cider, you're saying that you're loving these shots, and aren't these the most beautiful eyes? And of course, you know, I definitely agree. Yeah, Thandi's been very kind and giving us some amazing screenshots for you all to do your gifts and memes. Maybe you can do a special Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays or Happy New Year one. I like the one with her carrying the impala in her mouth for the holidays, for tomorrow and later in the week. Mystic Gohan, I feel like you're reading my mind. No, she's not blinking. She's very aware of her surroundings. Predators actually don't need to blink as much as we do. When they're hunting, they've got this, and birds of prey have the same thing. They've got something called a nictating membrane. Nictating, N-I-C-T-A-T-I-N-G membrane. And it covers the eye, and they open their eye completely, and then that nictating membrane goes over to help protect it when they're hunting, so that things like dirt and claws and everything else can't really get inside. And for us, we need to blink as much as we do to help clean out our eyes. They don't need to do that as much, especially when that nictating membrane is in function. It shouldn't be at the moment. You would be able to see it a little bit. Sorry, I'm just getting slightly distracted in my explanation because I can hear monkeys behind us towards the lodge, and I know that Scotty D was busy tracking a leopard somewhere not far from us. So I'm wondering if that's possibly the leopard that Scotty D was looking for. I think he was saying that possibly Tingana was in the area, and as you all were talking about earlier, Shadow and things. So we're definitely going to have to keep our eye out, and I'm sure Nikki will let Scotty D... see, Nikki's also reading my mind. Nikki's in FC, and she's passed on the message to Scott so that he can go and have a look while we're waiting here with our resting leopard. Yes, she's panting hard, hey? Shame. RSS, no, they don't all look the same. But that's, you know, it's interesting. I talk about this with my guests from time to time, like we're going to talk about it now with you guys. Is, for me, if I go to a city, all the buildings pretty much look the same. But out in the bush, everything looks different. But then if you're used to a city, every tree out here looks the same to you as opposed to the city that you're in. So I'm around leopards all the time, so I can definitely see the difference, just like you can see with people. But if it's not something that you're constantly physically focused on so that you know who you're dealing with, yes, they can sort of blend in. Now, one of the reasons why guides get so intrigued with who they're looking at is because of the personalities, specifically with leopards, and it also helps you know Tandi sometimes can be a bit grumpy, so you just want to make sure that you give her lots of space until she allows you to come into her space, which is exactly what we did now. And she's been really good with us. Every now and then you'll get a bit of a twinge, or you do something that's just they don't like, and so you just have to keep an eye on that. And the more time you spend with these leopards and or lions, humans in your life. I also like that one as a screenshot. Thanks, Ferg. Ferg's also an amazing photographer, not just an amazing cameraman, so he's got a nice eye. Our light is not very good today, but there's some good contrast there. Alright, well, let's head on over to Scotty D and see what he's up to. I'm hoping maybe he follows up on those Vervet alarm calls, or maybe he's found something else exciting for us to see.
Sadly, I'm too far away to follow up on the alarm calls. I'm approaching the Chitwa Waterhole, and there were some squirrels. It sounded like two of them alarm calling in this area. They've just stopped, and I was hoping they were going to lead us towards Hosanna, a young male leopard who I'm told spends a lot of time in and around this area. Of course, it's high likelihood that it could be as much as a mile or two away from here, but he does like this general area. I haven't heard of him being found here recently, but that's not to say he hasn't. It's just that we haven't been spending much time here, and we're on a different radio frequency where we ordinarily operate on Djuma. So even if things are happening here, we're often not necessarily getting updates, as we've been getting such good quality stuff happening across, like I say, on Djuma. Now, the fact that the squirrels have stopped alarm calling doesn't bode well for us. Maybe it was a bird of prey that they had seen, and it's already flown off. That's one possibility, or maybe a snake that slithered away, but I do not think there is a leopard here. I'm not entirely sure of our boundaries in this area just yet, so I need to do some homework there and get to the bottom of that, so as to be able to capitalize and make the most of this extra little chunk of land that we can traverse. This is in addition to what we were able to traverse back in the day. Well, back in the day we used to be able to traverse Arathusa and Djuma. Then that changed, and a few other properties have been acquired and swapped and changed, but this is the latest one, and I haven't nearly as well as I do on Djuma. Sounds like you guys are having a wonderful time with Thandi and Noel. Some incredible visuals of her, so I'm very happy that you are getting off to a wonderful safari, and Noel's got off to a great start back at work. Okay. Now these young impala are, or at least worth thinking about having a little fight. Here they go again. Come on, boys. They're actually not young, they're bigger. I'm just used to the Tanzanian and Kenyan impala that are far bigger. Now, it's not nearly the rutting season yet, so it's unlikely that they'll have a full-blown fight, but they may at least have a little bit of rough and tumble, showing us exactly how they will go about fighting more seriously in and around May, which is when the impalas do fight over the ladies. It's a very intense period for the male impalas, and I guess the females, because it's 1 month of kind of non-stop passion when lots of mating occurs. Very good. Okay guys, well, it sounds like we've got a plan to try and tweak a few things on the broadcast. It sounds like it's not been working too well, and because we no longer have the Mara involved in the feed, Jared, one of our technical wizards, can tweak a few things and hopefully make the stream that much better. So bear with us, we're going to say goodbye, hopefully just for a few minutes while Jared you are experiencing it firsthand with us. So get your stopwatches ready because we're about to time Jared. Jared, are you ready? Can I give you a countdown? In. Haven't got the go ahead yet. In 3, 2, 1, go Jared.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal
will be smoother and better, and you'll hear what we are saying and see what we are trying to show you. Very good. So I'm just scanning the perimeter of the water's edge here in the hope that we can find you a baby crocodile. Oh, there's a big crocodile. If you look just lying on the stump there, Sens, if you just zoom in on that, you'll start seeing crocodile. There we go. So it looks like it's lying on this log. Now that we've seen the big one, which I'm guessing is possibly the mother of a small hatchling of crocodiles that were, I think, first seen on that very log. I was hoping we would see some of its youngsters lying nearby, but no joy. I wonder how many of them are still alive, how many of them have been eaten, and also what has eaten them. So, no joy. Now there is a hippo in this corner of the waterhole as well, and usually it spends time with its youngster here, so I'm hoping this is her, and I'm hoping if we just spend a little bit of time looking at, oh, there it goes. That's what I was hoping for, that youngster to poke its head up. And where we can see the mother's head now, oh, they're all calling, you can hear that loud snorting. Let's actually have a look back there quickly, Sens, if you can swivel around quickly. It seems like there's a bit of a commotion going on. And hi guys, and you can see there's a lot of water moving around there. There's definitely some kind of action going on with those hippos. Sorry, I was just greeting some other guests that drove past with their guide. It's important that we're as friendly as possible so that hopefully people like us and then will continue to support us when they get home. A lot of people have got no idea who we are or what they do when they first see us, so it comes as a bit of a shock. Our vehicle's very different to all the other vehicles. Seems like these hippos have now calmed down, but we will keep an eye on them. Tony, you very excited to see a baby crocodile, and I'm checking the one other spot where I've only ever seen one little croc before, and it's not there. Oh, there's another big croc there, at least, swimming towards that little island of grass there, Senzo, at about 8 o'clock. Left a bit more, other left. Zoom in on, yeah, on that. There we go. There you can see another crocodile swimming. I love the way they keep their heads so still. And it's just their massive tail swooshing from side to side that propels them. Now I wonder if this is the husband, and the other one we were looking at earlier, the wife of the young crocodiles that I think Tristan was the first to find a couple of weeks back. Now I'm told a lot of you aren't sending through any questions, which makes me feel very lonely here, and I don't want to talk just to myself this afternoon, so please send through questions or comments or anything you like really, using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or by just popping a message in the box of YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. Oh, hold on, Sens, I spotted the baby. She's up for a breath again, or he, not sure if it's a boy or a girl yet. But it won't necessarily be able to stand where its mother can. Obviously its legs are a lot shorter, so it usually has to kind of latch on to mom to keep up, or rest its chin on her back. And it's plopped under again. It'll be interesting to calculate how much time it actually spends underwater on an average day, because it's definitely more down than up, or maybe that's just because we're around, it's a little bit nervous. Hello Coastsider, you'd like to know if we could fish here. Yes, I guess we could fish here. It is private land, we're not in the Greater Kruger National Park, and a lot of the lodges will offer fishing to their guests. Whether or not we would actually be allowed to fish here, I'm not too sure, but in theory, yes, there would be no trouble with fishing, and I have done a lot of fishing in the Sabi sands, not only in waterholes like this, but also in the Sand River, where you actually get some small tiger fish, interestingly enough, as well as tilapia, but it's mainly catfish that you catch, especially in the dams like this. You can catch some really big ones, which is good fun, and they're really easy to catch. So fishing is an option, but not for everyone. It kind of depends on the individual landowner's preferences and rules. P. Hart, you wondering what would eat a baby crocodile? Well, other adult crocodiles that are not the parents of it would eat one. Birds, snakes, monitor lizards. What am I missing? Fish eagles. Fish eagles a bird. I guess a lot of birds will eat them. Basically a lot of the herons, fish eagles, regular eagles. A big fish in some areas would definitely be able... Oh, let's have a quick look there. Well done. What is happening here? Whoa, look at that. How cool. And that would have given you guys a great idea of how quickly these animals can actually move. And look at those massive waves that have been caused by the displacement of water from about 2 to 3 tons of mass just plundering into the water. I wonder why that huge one was chasing the much smaller one. Didn't seem like a very equal match, did it? Well, they're still going for one another there. I can see a bit more splashing off to the left, Sens. Seems like they could be having a fight there. I think that maybe the big one's caught up with the small one. Let's see what's going on. Or maybe it's just some other hippos that are getting worked up and excited. Hello Eugene, you would like to know how long do hippos spend out of the water, and it basically, they're nocturnal, but in the summer months when there's more food around, they'd spend less time out of the water, because they obviously don't have to go as far and wide to search for food. So you tend to find that in summer they only head out after it's actually got dark. Oh, what's going on? There's definitely some chaos amongst this raft of hippo. I can't tell what's going on here, if there's some possible mating that's going on, or bulls fighting over this territory. But definitely some excitement. Now I completely forgot what I was talking about, and if I finished off the question that I was busy answering. So forgive me for that. And P. Hart, you would like to know how long they spend out of the water. So yes, in the winter months they will head out probably just before sunset and come back possibly after sunrise, whereas summer it's usually you don't see them out the water. At least that's in the Sabi sands. I know up in Kenya they can be seen out of the water quite a lot. It's quite cool up there, so a lot will depend on the individual area, but all in all they'll spend, I guess, 12 to 14 hours out of the water every evening. Oh, this is so epic. Okay, can you see the two birds above the hippo on the little peninsula there? Okay, there's a tiny little crocodile right in front of that bird in the water. You can just see its head. How epic is this? I saw this thickney run up to the water's edge and hold up its wings. I thought, what is going on here? What are you trying to chase away? And it's this tiny baby crocodile. How cool? You clever bird. You chase that predator away or make yourself look as big as possible. Without that bird to help us, it would have been near impossible to spot that small croc. So, I think that bird's also too big for that crocodile to chew on, but if that bird's got chicks or eggs nearby, they will do their best to chase it off. So there we go, Tony. I think you wanted to see a baby crocodile, and your wish has come true. Marvelous. Okay. Well, we'll probably hang around now that this crocodile is headed off. It looks like the hippo is also ducked under the water. We will send you back to Noel for an update on Thandi and how she's getting along with her kill.
Scotty D, Thandi is still sleeping and twitching a little bit, but you are sounding like you're having some epic sightings over at Chitwa Dam. I'm not as jealous as I could be. I'm sitting with a leopard with a kill, but that hippo action sounds absolutely amazing, and that little crocodile with the thickneys as well, with the dickops. Now, we've talked a lot today just sort of about populations and densities and things like that, so I just want to back the ecological train on up and just start from the beginning. So when we talk about populations, we're talking, you have individuals, you have populations, and then you have communities. So Thandi is one individual in the population of leopards in the Sabi Sands, which is in the community of leopards in the greater Kruger area. All right. And the size of the area that is populated, or the densities of the population within an area, are very much dependent upon suitable habitat for whatever organism it is. So for this leopard, for Thandi, she would have to have suitable habitat, so things like this marula tree, although leopards are quite variable, but let's stick with this area for now. And not only is it the habitat where she's walking around and climbing up and putting her cub, but also the food that is within that habitat. So what you see with a lot of the larger organisms like Thandi, like this leopard, is that they tend to have lower population densities over larger areas because of the food they need to eat. But now that statement contradicts a lot of what we were talking about with large population densities in this area. So the Leopard has per hectare, so 1 hectare is 2.2 acres for anyone that's in the States. Per hectare has the largest carrying capacity of any area else in South Africa. Oh, there, she's going to move for us. Oh, please jump, my girl. No, really? You're going to show us your back end and have a little scratch. So basically, the reason why our population densities of leopard in this area are higher than anywhere else in South Africa is because the prey species densities are higher because of the type of vegetation we have, because of the type of soil we have, because of the Drakensberg Mountains that are to our west. So traditionally, you would have lower densities of lion, leopard, elephant, impala, wildebeest in a given area, except that our area is sort of not breaking the rules, but more of an exception to the rule. And then the other things that sort of determine the size of the population, but also the distribution of a population like leopards, would be environmental conditions and variability. So the species like Thandi has to be able to be variable for the population to survive. And they are. We talked about earlier with how they eat scorpions and how they eat baby mice and how they eat birds, as well as this baby impala that we're seeing here. So that's another reason why in this area leopards do so well and why the population densities are so much higher, is because there's an abundance of not just the larger prey but also of the smaller prey, and that's again because of how nutritious our soil is and the types of vegetation that we get here. It's interesting though, because you would think that, okay, well, it's so nutritious, you must have a lot of different types of vegetation, and we do, but we don't have as many different types of vegetation as, say, you would find, oh, there she goes. She's doing such wonderful leopard movements for you now. Look how agile she is. She's literally just finding another branch to lie on. And also having a look around. Look at that fat belly. So some of that is fat because of what she's eating, but if you look there, just before she laid down, it looked quite dark towards the back. That's where she lactates from. That's where the baby nurses from, where her nipples are. So that's getting a little bit wet. So again, she might have been away from the little one for a little bit, so she's starting to produce a little bit more milk, and then also the food that she's eating there. So if we were to go towards the sort of Western Cape or Karoo area, it is not as nutritious there. And so you have to have more species in an area, specifically plant species, because they have to carve out a little niche. So basically there is more diversity in areas like that and less species richness, whereas here we have lower species diversity and higher species richness. So we have impala and we have kudu, and then for things like trees we've got marulas and we have jackalberries, and then we have many of those same thing, as opposed to having 50 different types of succulents. Super interesting. Christine, you're curious to know if Tandi has an uncomfortable belly because it's full of food or because of sore teats. Christine, I don't think she's uncomfortable with her belly. I think she's just uncomfortable in general on that other branch that she was on, and I think she's just repositioning. But I don't think that the full belly with the sore teats is helping the matter. I do think that she's trying to find a spot that's accommodating both. But you can see, especially when she's lying the way that she's lying now, she's just alternating her weight so that it alleviates, and then also keeping her balance at the same time. Now that tongue that she's using to groom herself there is very rough, like sandpaper, and it's really taking out the dead hair. Sinatra, very good question. This is a marula tree. Very interesting question about what type of tree. Obviously, you were listening to me talk about all the different types of population densities. This marula tree has what you can see a lot of 90-degree or somewhat 90-degree angle branches, which makes it easier for her to lie on. So in this type of area, this is a type of tree that you would find a leopard in often. Sausage trees are also a good tree for leopards, and jackalberries. But that being said, I've also seen leopards in trees that you would never think that they would be in, all scraggly bushes. But most of those I've seen in completely different areas. So one of the places I used to work at in the Northwest Province is a lot more arid and has a lot of shepherd's trees. And those shepherd's trees are very, very cool inside the thick branches, but very scraggly. And that's where we found a lot of our leopards. Well, now we're busy waiting to see what else Madame Tandi will do. Let's head back over to Scott, who has some sort of antelope species and doing some sort of antic.
Yes, the impala are, or at least were, running about quite wildly, playing around with one another, chasing each other, and I guess just stretching their legs, doing a bit of exercise. They've got a very telltale run that they do either when they're playing or when they are being chased by wild dogs. Well, not necessarily if wild dogs are on their heel, but if wild dogs are in the area and are kind of 100 meters or so away from the impala do this strange kind of seesawing pronk with straight legs, and it's a great display of how athletic an impala may be, and I guess that's exactly why they do it when wild dogs are around, is to try and prove to them and really express that, hey, look at me, I'm fit and strong, pick somebody else to chase. They're all kind of talking to one another too. I'm not sure if you can hear it. It sounds like they're all burping. Bow, bow, bow. We'll try and pump up the ambient mic for a little bit so you can hear it. So I'm just going to try and keep quiet. Okay. Now, I'm going to ask to send you guys away quickly because there is a guide coming down the road behind us, and I can ask him for some directions as to where exactly I am and where some possible sightings for us are. There's no need for you guys to be around for that. Okay, so we'll send you back to Taylor while we chat to this guy who's just arrived behind us. Toodle-doo.
So Tandi groomed herself, and now, of course, she's asleep again. This is what everyone will be doing tomorrow after you all have, well, whoever celebrates Christmas, after you have your Christmas lunch. Ferg, are we having Christmas lunch? No, we're not having. It's too hot here to have Christmas lunch.
We had Mexican Christmas last night.
Ferg says they had Mexican Christmas last night, and everyone's bellies are probably full from that. I like it. All right, but this is what would totally happen after Christmas lunch. Hello, Joy. I love your question. Well, I love everyone's questions, but Joy, you're right on the same track with me today. Yeah, so species richness, Joy, is the number of the species in the area. And species diversity, oh wait, sorry, let me back this up. So in an area, Joy, you get certain species. The amount of those species in the area is the richness of the species richness of the area. The species diversity is the actual different numbers of different species, if that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, I can try and reword it. So just let me know. You can let FC know. So species diversity, the number of completely different species, and species richness is the actual number of those then designated organisms. I hope I said that correctly. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. So Joy, basically what I'm doing is I'm practicing. Carrie, thanks so much for your comments about the additional information and you learning something new. I do hope you are learning something new. So, Joy and Carrie, what I'm doing, I'm using you all as my guinea pigs. So I have a practical examination that's coming up in January on some very specific stuff. Now, it's things that I find super interesting in general, and I do like to share it with you all, but then there's some certain key points that I have to hit on. And so sometimes in Drive, it's just, I feel like saying whatever, and then sometimes I get these really great opportunities, like now with this leopard, to go a little bit further into the studies and to start talking with you all about it. And then sometimes it's new information that I haven't used with guests before, or haven't used with you all before, that I'm trying out a bit, and it seems as if it's working. If it's not working, you must let me all know, and I'll find another way to put it, or we talk about something different. But I find the farther in depth we can go regarding the bush, the more understanding we get of individual traits with lion, with leopard, with wild dog. And then also, I mean, as you all know, we had our whole wild dog saga before I went on leave, and sometimes it's really hard to understand the choices that the ecologist of the sands or anywhere else has to make. But when we start really going in depth about ecology and things like species diversity and species richness and population densities and how distribution of populations is so important, it helps the understanding as to why they make those decisions. And then a lot of the people that are making these conservation decisions have studied for 3, 4, 8 years really in depth into a lot of the stuff we get to talk about. So thank you, everybody. I'm glad you're enjoying it. She is super, super lazy. Adrian, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm also happy to be back, and happy that you all are happy to have me back. And then, Adrian, you're curious to know why, not why. See, Adrian, you can tell I was on leave because I can't speak English today at all. You're wondering, what is the largest prey species a leopard can pull up a tree? So, Adrian, that's all dependent upon individual and whom the individual hunts, what prey species they hunt, because you know that they're quite selective, and then also the size of the individual. So, for instance, Jamie had that huge male leopard that pulled up that small giraffe into a tree, so you can have that. I think the biggest thing I've ever personally seen was a female just a little bit bigger than Tandi, and I would guesstimate Tandi to be at about 50 kilograms, so about 110 pounds roughly, right around in there. And this female was probably just a few kilograms, few pounds heavier than that, and she killed an 80 kilogram male warthog, so that's about 180 pounds worth, and pulled it about 9 meters straight up a tree, so whatever 9 times 3 is, so 9 yards, let's say 9 yards up a tree. And that was pretty hectic because that was a big warthog, and it took her forever to get it down. It was a big struggle. But then something like that sort of 95 kilogram male leopard that Jamie had, pulling up that, let's say, 110 kilogram giraffe, if not bigger, it would probably be one of the biggest things I've heard about. I haven't heard of anything like a baby elephant, but it wouldn't surprise me. A baby elephant comes out about 120 kilograms from the mum, 100 to 120. So if a male leopard can pull up a similar sized or weighted giraffe, then I would assume they would be able to do that. Although I have not personally seen a leopard kill a baby elephant, it would be within their jurisdiction if they were able to do that. She's giving you all some beautiful views now. She's listening to me talk to her about what she's killing. I'm not making fun of the size of your kill, Tandi. It's perfect. Yeah. It's interesting. Look, I mean, obviously the animals don't speak English, but every now and then you'll be discussing something like we are now, and they give you this look, and sometimes you wonder if they're going, really? Really? That's what you're talking about? Our crazy wildlife. Handycat, you're curious to know if I've ever seen a leopard fall out of a tree while sleeping, and that's a big negative. They're very agile. They know their body well. They know where to lie well. I've seen little leopard cubs playing around in smaller tree branches and sort of catching a wobble, but that's because they're busy learning how to use their muscles and how to function with their bodies. But no, I've never seen a leopard fall out of a tree. I'd be very surprised to see a leopard fall out of a tree. I have a friend who watched a leopard jump out of a tree onto a herd of impala and kill an impala, but that was strategic. That wasn't an accident. She's definitely keeping her eye on something, and I'm wondering if it's related to those vervet monkeys that we heard earlier. I haven't heard them since we talked about them, but it's entirely possible. Eugene, you would like to know, are there different species of leopard in this area? So Eugene, in sub-Saharan Africa, and I believe I'm correct in saying on the whole continent, even in northern Africa, we just have the one species of leopard, which is Panthera pardus. And as far as I know as well, the only subspecies that I know of in sub-Saharan Africa is the Cape leopard. And I'm actually not sure if they've decided whether or not it's a full subspecies. The other leopard species that you will find worldwide would be in Asian countries. So the Amur leopard, snow leopard, things like that. Good question though, because earlier we were talking about all the different species and subspecies of wildebeest, but yeah, we just have the one species of leopard, except for the Cape leopard and whenever they decide on that, and the one species of lion. In sub-Saharan Africa, you will get, I would love to go see the Asiatic lions. There's only about 60 of them left. That would be super incredible. I do know there's someone that watches Safari Live who went and saw them recently because I saw them hashtagging photos. So if you were watching, I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. That would be spectacular to know about. And I had guests. Here she comes. Here we go, everybody. Let's watch her come down. Fantastic. How fantastic was that? And I had guests who travel all over the world to find and look at big cats of the world. Now, Tony, you're curious to know, where does the clouded leopard live? Tony, I'm going to assume the clouded leopard is somewhere in Asia, but I really honestly don't know. I don't know if someone else that is watching, oh, sorry for the tree branch, happens to know. Ferg is saying in Borneo. There we go. Thanks, Ferg. Sorry, what'd you say?
I said Ferg and Nix.
Oh, Ferg and Nix. Ferg and Nix both said in Borneo. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
I appreciate that.
I've never seen it.
Oh, that's beautiful there. Yeah, Ferg saying that he's also not 100% sure, but that's kind of roundabouts where he's thinking it is. Do you want me to back up a little bit more? Wildflower, you're curious to know, will any other animals go up the tree with a leopard in it? I've seen other leopards go up in a tree, Wildflower, with a different individual in there. I have seen lions go up and chase leopards off kills. I have seen tree squirrels run up and start chattering away. I've seen monkeys jump from the top of one tree to another tree and start chattering away, but then quickly move off. But no, I mean, in general, when prey species know that the leopard's around, they're not going to be so silly as to try and get up. It's just going to it has to do more with is it another predator or possibly wanting to steal the kill. That's going to be really beautiful there. Oh, here we go. Gorgeous. Thank you, Tandi. Now, Tandi, bring us to your cub. I don't think I'm asking too much. We would all like to see your little cub. Clouded leopards in the Himalayas. Interesting. Okay. So I wasn't far off with Asia, and then you guys said Borneo. There we go. Yeah, that works. Oh, she's so gorgeous. Look at her. So now she obviously hasn't finished that kill, as we know. She's leaving a little bit there. So she could be doing one of two things. She maybe wants to go somewhere else and lay down maybe under a bush, or she might want to go for a drink. Or I'm holding thumbs that she wants to go to her cub, and then she wants to snuggle with her cub and then pick it up. That's what I want. Be truthful, you're curious to know. Oh, there she scent marks. Be truthful, you want to know, does it look like she's calling the cub? No, definitely not. Be truthful. Be truthful, if she starts calling the cub, you're going to hear me get all excited and girly, going, listen, listen, listen. And then going quiet. And her call, I can imitate lion calling cubs. I'm not good at imitating leopard calling cubs. Ferg, can you do it? Yeah, Ferg also can't do it. So if she does start calling, which because the cub is so little, she'll only do when she gets nice and close, unless it's still in the den, and then sometimes they don't even call when they're nice and close because they want to make sure that nothing else is around. So what we're going to do is we're just going to stick with her as much as I possibly can. And kind of see what she gets up to, and we might just get lucky. The general direction she's heading is towards the dam, so we'll see. Lady Starfire, if she does go there, I'll definitely follow her there. I'm not going to... we are a little bit far from where the den site is, so I don't know if we'll catch it in time, but if I can see that she's heading straight for the den, what I will try and do is see if we can just add on some extra time. The only thing I cannot do is spotlight the den, but now as I'm saying that out loud, I'm just remembering that we have those infrared cameras, so we'll see what we can do, and I will just let Nikki and FC know if I think we have something amazing about to happen. It's also one of those things where you also don't want to follow her in when it's too dark, because she also needs time just to be with her cub, and so there's always the possibility that she might go and fetch it and then we see it tomorrow morning. But we have 20 or 30 minutes left, so let's see what happens. Let's take it easy. We're in Africa. We're on African time. Everything happens when it happens. Okay. So let's head on down. She's definitely heading towards the dam. I'm just going to loop around here, and again, sorry for the back of my head. We all know why that's happening. What with the stumps and the falling out recently, and I fell already today, and all of that. But while we're doing this, just so you don't have to stare too much at the back of my head, let's head on over to Scott and see what he's up to. I'm hoping that he gets his last minute leopard with Tingana, and then we've got 2 leopards on the show today. So let's head on over to Scott.
You go. Afternoon, everyone. We've just got very lucky, and we're passing Brent's brother. He's called us into the sounding. Hello, Dill. Nice to see you. Yes, and four. See you now. And we have just caught up with Tingana, a beautiful big male leopard. Now, he's off in that thick bush. I'm just going to try and loop ahead of him. He's on a bit of a game trail. He's off there. And exciting stuff, not just Thandi, but also her lover, Tingana. And we're going to be able to loop ahead here. I'm just going to pick a nice little spot where there's not too many bushes. There it is. Half gap. And this way we should be able to get you guys some great views of him as he paces towards us. Woohoo! Always exciting. Oh, this is a new area for me, so I've never off-roaded here. Copy, thanks very much, Dill. Pop around sometime, anytime you like. Okay, copy, when you get back then. Sorry, I was just chatting with Brent's brother there. We were actually at school together in the same year, and ooh, we're in luck. I think Tingana's going to pop up onto a termite mound here, so we just need to get ourselves into position. Please come up it for us, buddy. Okay. This is going to be epic, I'm guessing. Ooh, it looks like he may just slink past it this time round. They very often climb up onto them to get a good vantage point. Are we in luck? He may have just stopped, or he may poke his head up. No, he's just coming straight along the side of it. He is an absolute brute. Look at that massive dewlap below his neck, flapping from side to side as he struts his stuff. And we've just been left all alone with this beautiful big male leopard. So I think it's Noelle that's doing her best to keep up with Tandi now, all alone, and now us with this beautiful big male. It couldn't get any better, really. And absolutely awesome stuff. Now he's looking like he could do with a meal, so that's one thing that bodes well for us. Another thing that bodes well for him is he's absolutely no longer linking. We need to rush you off to Tandi.
Okay, so she was just walking, like we were talking about, and heading towards the dam, and there was a little steenbok that was just up here that's caught her attention. So it's entirely possible that she, oh, well, I say that, and now she's scratching herself. So she watched the steenbok for maybe a minute or two, and then it bounded off as steenboks do. So she was half interested, but not fully interested. Obviously, she's quite full. Now, what I'm going to do is we are going to keep following her, but the path that she's taking is going to go past the other Djuma vehicle that's with us in the sighting, and I want to let them be able to have a photo without us in it. So don't go anywhere for me. You can stick with me. I'm just going to loop slightly differently. As I say that, I'm lying to you because she can see the steenbok again. Let's see if we can... There we go. You see her little tail, that little bit of white that we always talk about when we're tracking. You see how it's twitching like that? It means something's caught her interest. It must mean that the steenbok's moved and then stopped, and then now it's moved again. She's just decided it's not something she wants. So I'm just going to loop around. We're going to let those guests get a quick photo of the magnificent Tandi, and then, you know, don't go anywhere. We're going to get her in 15 seconds maybe a little bit longer, depending on how my driving is today, which, as I say that, of course I go over a big log. I just need to get back in the swing of things. I'm also a girl. That's a joke, ladies. Okay, so we're not really going to get a sunset tonight. It's a bit too cloudy. I do think it's going to rain. Would be nice to have, maybe we'll get a nice beautiful sunset tomorrow. Now, something else that's interesting is if she's looking at that steenbok the way that she is, even with her full belly, I wonder if there's anything that's going to be down at the dam that might also catch her attention. Because the wind's really good. It's in our favor. Her favor, I should say. And she's definitely going to go down and drink. The dam's just here to our right. And we are just going to meander around and get a nice little view on the dam wall for everybody. So any of you that also have the dam cam up, you're going to start seeing Tandi soon on the dam cam, and the birds are already giving her away. Let us get down and see if we can get a low angle. Ooh, let's go to Scott. Scott, I think Scott said something about Tingana. Go to him quickly.
Well, we've just got him coming straight towards us. Magic views. And what's caught his attention there? Ooh, this is looking good. He's looking excited by something. Can you hear something? The fact that he's moved his head from one side right across to the other without looking makes me think that he heard something. Now he seems to be heading towards whatever it was that first caught his attention. Interesting stuff, and you can see that he's changed his body language. He's certainly looking a little bit more sneaky than he was before. And isn't it just absolute magic to watch this guy moving through this? Oh, he can hear some impala. It sounds like some impala are possibly playing behind us. And he knows full well that when impala are playing, they may have leopards not quite at the top of their mind as they do when they're not playing. What have you smelt? Have you found some poop to roll in? Look at how cool this is, perfectly framed with that leaf. Now, Joy, you wondering what that beautiful big dewlap, that flap of skin below his neck, is for? I guess it may assist, you know, a bit of extra saggy skin when fighting with other big male leopards will assist them. Let me just reposition the vehicle quickly. May assist them, you know, a bit of extra skin will have a bit of slack when other males are lashing out and fighting with one another. Not quite the same as a lion's mane, but a similar kind of thing. But I think it's just the fact that they get very big, and that's just an excess bit of flap of skin. You also find it on some large antelope like eland. So it's not just the big cats that have dewlaps. Oh yeah, you have found some poop and you're eating it. Blech. Now leopards will do this from time to time to get certain minerals that they don't acquire from meat. And I think it would make far more sense for you guys to go and watch Tandi having a drink rather than Tingana eating a poop. So off you go.
Yay! Scott got my nemesis leopard. I'm so excited. And we still have Thandi. So there's your 2 leopards for the drive. Excellent stuff. And she's just making it down to Djuma Dam to have a beautiful little drink. And the light is a really interesting soft light at the moment. So her pattern mixed in with this dark black cotton soil is really popping up nicely. There we go. Terry, you're curious to know how far, sorry, I'm really sorry, I really can't speak today. How long will she stay away from her cub before she needs to nurse? Look, Terry, she technically could nurse now. I can see from her teats, but she can stay away from her cub for 3, 4, 5 days, depending on what she's had to eat. So it just now, after she stops drinking, is when we will be able to know if she's going to head back to nurse or head back and finish off her kill. Can hear the monkeys going, and of course the lapwings are also going. The monkeys are closer to Djuma Lodge. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to hear them, unfortunately. There's our little tail going because of the lapwings flying past, and also because of the monkeys calling. So she's basically come down. And earlier in the show we were looking at some wildebeest with the babies. They're not far from us here. So those wildebeest with the babies are definitely going to know that something's up. So even if she wanted to hunt anything sort of close by here, the birds and the monkeys have given her away. There's some wonderful screenshots again for everybody here, especially when she twitches her tail at a nice little angle. It's absolutely fantastic, and the rippling in the water with her drinking. I'm itching for my camera at the moment. Itchy, itchy fingers. Now notice how, look, today was a warm day, but it wasn't super hot. Leopards don't have to drink a lot of water, but notice how the opportunity she's taking now. She's really going to drink as much as she can fit in there. Leopards get a lot of the moisture that they need from the food that they eat, from the liquids that are in there. But this will help her digest her food more quickly. And I also have a feeling that when she's nursing like this, just like with humans, because, you know, we're also mammals, that you probably get slightly more dehydrated. So I'm actually curious, I would be curious to know, I should say, if anyone's done any research or found in their leopard research that females tend to drink more water when they are nursing, as a side thought. Bunny, you would like to know how long can the leopard cubs live without mom's milk? Well, Bunny, she tries to be there as much as she can, but again, as we talked about, she can go 3, 4, 5 days without being there, so they can survive pretty much that amount of time. If there were to be a little bit more longer than that, it would depend on the strength of the cub and the age of the cub as to whether it survived. And again, I can give you statistics and I can give you numbers, but everything is very individual based, and it also has to do with how much stress the cub's under. So if there's been anything that's happened to the cub while mom's away, like say hyenas came sniffing around, or another leopard came sniffing around, or lions, then obviously their adrenaline's going to kick in, and then their metabolism is going to increase, and then they would burn off more fat and then would need more food. So there's a whole bunch of factors that play in. So let's say, sort of after 5 days, you're really starting to push it. We'll go with that for now. But, again, there's more parameters within there. That's a really beautiful shot as well. I'm obsessing over this sighting right now, everybody. I hope you're obsessing over this sighting as well. Mark, you're curious to know if a leopard would take the cub up a tree when they're being chased by lions. And Mark, most definitely, that leopard cub knows exactly what it needs to be doing to keep away from those predators. So depending on the size of the cub, when they're really, really tiny and need to be carted around a lot by mom, or when they're still blind, after their first couple of weeks of being born, they're going to be stuck inside those den sites, inside the termite mound type things that we've seen. But let's say she was out with this little cub and a lion came around. That cub's already going to be somewhere like, say, up that tree, which is going to be harder for a lion. Now, if the lion got into the tree, which they can do, then the cub would just move farther up with mum into the taller branches that are harder for the lion to get in because they're heavier and that cub's smaller. Now, I've never personally seen a mum try to get higher up in a tree by putting the cub in the mouth, but I have seen the cub go up first and then the mum sort of standing towards a lower branch and hissing and growling. In that particular case was another leopard that was around. So the mum will also be protective to allow the cub to carry on and be in a space that is a better space for it. Well, thank you, darling Tandi. That was lovely. Now, please come up onto the dam wall and then stop in the middle of the dam wall and face us. Maybe groom yourself for half a second and then take us to your cub. I know I'm dictating a lot to Tandi today, but I'm desperate to see this little one. Joyce, you're curious to know what is the average distance that sawing can be heard. So, Joyce, a male lion's roar in good conditions can do 16 kilometers. A male leopard in good conditions, the farthest that I know it can do is maybe 6 kilometers. But on average, it's going to be shorter. It's going to be sort of 2 or 3 kilometers. And then with a female lion, it's much shorter than the male. And interestingly, with the female leopard, it's actually just as far as the male. Maybe a little bit less so, but they call the males into their territory when they're ready to mate, and a male will have sort of 3, 4, 5 females within his territory, so their calls have to go a little bit longer. Tandi, you have 5 minutes to go to your cub, but you have to walk down the road. You're not allowed to walk through the drainage line because I can't follow you in there. Yes, she's absolutely stunning. But everybody, I have a feeling that what she's going to do is to go... Oh, I could be wrong. If she goes down into the drainage system, I'm really not going to be able to follow her. But we're lucky because I believe Tingana is on a kill. So we're not going to lose leopards in your last minutes. Sammy Jane, you've just tuned in. She has eaten half of a baby impala, but she was eating something before that, and I'm not quite sure what it was. I think Rexon said that it was a warthog, because when Rex went to go look with Aubrey, they didn't find her. They just found what was left of the kill. And then when we went to just go triple check everything, I actually just wanted to show you the kill itself, and then we were going to talk about leopards. But when we went to go look, she was there, and she had a baby impala kill, which is super fun. Well, I think it's super fun. There might be some of you out there who think, oh, poor impala, but as we all know, she's feeding a cub, and unfortunately that's what some of the baby impalas are meant to be this time of year, is food for mommy leopards, and and Tinganas and all of that. So she is definitely heading down into the drainage line. I am just going to try and meander in as best as I can to get us a few more glances before she goes where we can't see her. Oh, where are you heading now, buddy? Wait a minute. What are you doing down there? No, you were just smelling. I got super... Ferg knew exactly why. I said, I was hoping that that's where she'd stashed her little baby and then she was going to bring it out. But I really honestly think that she's put the little one in the den site that Tristan found, that that a lot of the other guys found. And then Tristan showed you the cub for the first time. And so... yeah, sadly, she's going to meander where we can't view her and carry on into the night. But we've had such a wonderful afternoon with her. If she sticks closer to the road, we'll be able to follow. If she goes more into the drainage line, we're not going to be able to follow. I also have to share this sighting with other vehicles as well. So we're going to try our best. Oh, shame. Scott doesn't have Tingana anymore, but I'm glad that we did get a short visual of Tingana. I'm going to see if we can get another glimpse or two of Tandi before we have to say goodbye. Now, the reason why I'm saying we're not going to stick with her to the den is because for where she is and where she's walking, it's actually going to take her about another half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even longer to get to the den. So I think tomorrow morning is going to possibly be our best chance to see that little baby. If I thought she would be to the den within the next 5 or 10 minutes, we would definitely hold the show a little bit longer, but it is going to take her a while, and she might run into anything along the way, and then it would take her a little bit more time. Thanks everyone for wishing us a very Merry Christmas. We do appreciate that. I'm not going to let you look at my crazy face while we do this, but I think maybe we must look at our beautiful Tandi for our last little bit. Hello, girl. Are you going to come say hello to everybody? Here she goes. Well, it's been an amazing drive back, everybody. I really enjoyed being home and being back on camera with all of you. And we've had an epic day, of course. We are going to watch her carry on into the bush. She's actually now changed completely her direction and is heading a little bit back towards her kill. But again, maybe she's trying to give us the slip so that she can quietly go to her cub without us noticing. But we will have to check in tomorrow and see what has happened. I'm always in awe of leopard. I always find myself getting very absorbed in how they move and how they function and how well they blend into their environment. I mean, you can see how clear her pattern was when we had her drinking, and now as she's meandering into the darkening bush, just how well she really blends into her surroundings and her habitat. They have created such amazing little niches.